You're watching regularly scheduled programming of Russ Shaw TV.
Hello, welcome to the channel, Russ Shaw TV. I would be Russ Shaw. Peace. Hope everyone's doing well out there. I had to say a few things about the Grammys while I'm headed into work today. So the Grammys once again snubbing rock and roll. If it wasn't for Billy Joel, there would be no mention of rock and roll at all in the Grammy Awards that are televised. CBS in my country. It's basically a award ceremony from the recording industry. And Jay-Z got up and said some words, which I thought were pretty cool. And pointed out the fact that this is people's opinions, right? It's just the recording industry and a pack of folks who decide what wins the best album, what wins the best song. I think it was Miley Cyrus that won for like both best album and best song. And Jay-Z said something about someone he knows that won a bunch of Grammys for singles, but never won best album, which is of course Beyonce. He didn't say that, but again, it's like she makes hits, right? These bands that make hits. Paramore won for best rock album. And I like the record. I do. I like the album. Enough to buy the wax? Not necessarily. Hey, look, the sun came out for a change. That's amazing. Paramore actually did not attend the Grammys because they cut ties with their label, which is interesting. And then they released a video. They're doing like a tribute thing with the Talking Heads burning down the house. And then they, on social media, talked about sitting at home in their normal clothes and watching the Grammys, where they won, right? So interesting, the way the recording industry is evolving. And again, a lot of this having to do with money. My sunglasses are on. You don't get that very often this time of year. I digress. So Paramore did not attend the Grammy ceremony. And that may be part of why, he didn't see performances by rock bands. I don't know. I think it's just the way the Grammys is now. Rock and roll it's making a comeback, though, Bands like Måneskin selling out arenas, and bands like Greta Van Fleet also selling out stadium shows and arenas. Paramore won for Best Alternative Rock Performance and for Best Rock Album. And this is the first time that the Grammy has ever gone to a female-fronted rock and roll band. So that's kind of cool. But there's just, except for Billy Joel, who played one of his first song he wrote in many years and talked about getting inspired to start writing music again, which is awesome. But, in my town, it just feels like around here, rock and roll is a lot more important than it is maybe in the rest of the world. I don't know. And you go to shows, a lot of rock bands in clubs and stuff around here today. And sure, there's a lot of electronic music and rap and hip hop and all that stuff. But here's an example. Radio stations. Now, there's been a bunch of different pop top 40 type stations around here that have come and gone. I'm 50, I'll be 56 this year. My favorite rock and roll station is KISW 99.9 KISW. They've been around for over 50 years now. There's another rock and roll station in the city called KZOK that's been around for 102.5 KZOK. Bob Rivers, have you ever heard of him? He does parody songs and stuff, and some of his stuff is still floating around on the internet out there. But these stations still exist 50 some years later, playing nothing but rock and roll since their inception, all right? Now, these other stations out there, you know, they've gone from pop to country to talk radio to... I don't know any other stations besides these two stations that have stood the test of time as their own thing, right? Without having to rebrand or change ownership. It's still KISW, man. It's still rock and roll radio here in my town. And so that's, you know, the Grammys. I wonder what kind of, how many people watched it around here. I don't know. But it seems to be really, really heavily influenced by the record companies. Which brings me to Spotify. There's a Rolling Stone article there about who owns chunks of Spotify. Banks, first of all, because they're on the stock exchange, and they go somewhere fluctuating between $20 billion and $30 billion. It's a lot of money. Apple Music pays better than Spotify. I have a friend, Branford Loomis, who was on one of my playlists. I have numerous playlists. So this was a tough decision for me, all right? I mean, I spent hours and hours making playlists. I have like a ton of playlists, and they're still on there, but I'm not paying this company anymore. I have made a decision. Will I stick with it for 2024? I don't know. We'll see. Try out some other streaming platforms out there. But I've made a decision I can vote with my dollars. I choose to support the artists by not giving money to shitty corporations when I have the chance not to. As long as it fits my needs as a consumer and as someone who loves music, right? I feel like music is a very important part of my life. Spotify started around the same time as Pirate Bay started, and Spotify was just better technology. And they wanted to be free, and, you know, there's controversy around this. We also want the artists to get paid. If you watch the film, it's, you know, it's based on a true story, but the relationship between the guy who started the service, the CEO, the founder of Spotify, and this artist, you know, that was in the city at the time. She's fictional, but it's very real. What she has to say in the film about, hey, this is great if we can start getting paid as artists for all these, you know, because of Napster, you know, early 2000s, Pirate Bay, LimeWire, all these, you know, because it was just easier, right? And record companies, God knows, have been ripping people off for years. It's like, oh yeah, you got to spend $15 to $18 for a CD because CDs are expensive. Meanwhile, you know, AOL starts mailing them to you for free. Sign up on AOL. I remember those times, man. So, you know, a lot of us felt jilted by the record company and started downloading music. And that was really hard on artists. It was really hard on record stores, man. A lot of record stores went out of business. But Spotify comes along, creates this software, and, you know, the world has changed. But now, Spotify, not this, you know, underground, like Pirate Bay kind of a thing, Spotify actually earns billions of dollars. Billions, with a B, all right? This company is not poor. This company can afford to pay artists better based on the money that they raise. And hey, listen, Spotify is owned by record companies now. Record companies have a large amount of ownership of what Spotify is. Okay, so that's part of it too. These companies make a lot of money off of the streams, and they could pay better, but they choose not to. So I watched a guy does lo-fi stuff, and he's an artist. He had 4 million streams on both Spotify and on Apple Music, and he compared the two and how much more he made on Apple Music. There's another one out there called Tidal. I guess it's some Jay-Z and people like Neil Young and these guys came together to make like more of a hi-fi type of streaming service. But it's also each play is a penny, and that's better than I get on YouTube. You know, artists on Spotify don't make as much as us YouTubers make. I do make money on YouTube. That's a whole nother story, but we're paid per view. Like everyone who's watching this, there's ads or whatever, we get paid per view. Songs get paid per play, and Tidal pays a penny per song, which is way more than I would be making on YouTube. Thanks for sticking around the old YouTube channel. If you want to see another video that I recommend, check out this one. If you want to see another video the machines recommend, check out that one. Choose wisely. Don't forget to subscribe if you made it this far. Good day.